Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing well. That's right, we are getting a relic grenade launcher. I mean, look at this thing. Oh my god. But we're gonna get to this. Let's start with episode 1 or part 1 of the dev blog. So there's only 1 week left until the next battle pass, and you guys know how it goes. Usually on Tuesday the devs will have their live stream, and I'll be streaming that as well. On Wednesday, or actually later Tuesday, I get access to the test server to try out all the new goodies, and then on Thursday the update usually drops, and I'll be making videos on it like crazy again. So that's gonna be the schedule for next week. But what we can expect is first off, a new legendary cabin which looks like a BTR. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, the next battle pass is going to be focused around the Steppen Wolves faction with a lot of heavy armor, heavy cabins, and all that awesomeness. So we already have one tank looking cabin in the game, which is a carapace cabin, and now we're getting a second one finally. It looks like there's a little slot here for a generator or some ammo, which is very nice. This is going to be a legendary medium cabin, not a heavy cabin. Very interesting. This cabin has a perk that will increase your projectile blast radius, and while active it will also stop the use of ammo. So if the value is high enough, it might be very interesting to try it out with the avalanche cannon. And the way you charge a perk is by dealing damage with your weapon. You accumulate charges then, and then you can activate the perk whenever you want. But the duration of the charge depends on the accumulated charges. So unlike the Harpy where you have the perk active like non-stop, with this new cabin it's gonna be active for a limited time. So I'm hoping the values are higher than the one from the Harpy cabin. In their first dev blog, they also announced a new epic frontal wheel, and this new frontal wheel increases the maximum speed of the armored car as well as the reverse speed and the power. But unlike other perks from cabins and movement bars to where they charge when there are more enemies nearby, this one discharges when you are close to multiple enemies. And the last thing they show us in the dev blog are some new frames. We're getting new heavy and light frames, 5x1s, 5x3s, and L-shaped 5x3 frames, which are these over here. Oh, actually this is a... oh, this must be the 5x3 frame. Yep. Alright, not bad, not bad. But that's part 1. For part 2, they show us a new legendary revolver, and I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of revolvers. They just don't perform, except for the Athena a little bit, because you know it has some different perks like the healing effect. The new revolver has 3 projectiles in the cylinder, but the trick is that it can be loaded without ejecting unused ammo. Fired 1 or 2 shots out of 3 possible, you can add ammo without completely emptying the cylinder. Just be careful, each subsequent round loads slower than the previous one. Loading 1 of 3 doesn't take long, but loading 2 of 3 is more time consuming. And if all 3 projectiles are used, the revolver goes into full and slow reload. But that's how all revolvers work in real life. I actually wish they had this mechanic for all the revolvers in this game, because right now even if you load 20 rounds, 10 rounds, 5 rounds out of the maximum, the reload is the same length. This revolver also has 3 rounds in the chamber, and looking at it, I can't really tell if it's a cannon like the Nagwell or an auto cannon. The caliber looks really small, like the barrel size looks also really small. Kind of like the median. The median's barrel's also very small, very low caliber. Same thing with the Nagwell. So, I don't know. I think it's gonna be kind of like the Nagwell, because we kind of have a revolver in the form of the compiler, but it's not really a revolver, but it shoots like one. All 3 shots in one go. Anyways, let's just move on. The perk for this revolver is reduces the time for both full and partial reloads if you are the most accurate shooter in the wasteland. 1 hit on the opponent gives you a charge. Each charge increases the speed of all types of reloads. If you miss, you lose 1 charge. Okay, so the more hits, the more charges you accumulate, and then the faster the reload will be. That's cool, I guess. Next up, we have... whoa, is this another revolver? We have a new legendary rocket launcher. It's another revolver, but it's not classified as a revolver. And they mentioned that the shooting mechanics are the same as the course rocket launcher, but the perks makes it different. So if more than half of the rockets of a volley hit the target, the number of rockets in the next salvo will increase. That's interesting. So I only see 1 barrel, so I'm assuming just 1 comes out, or maybe 2, like... But if you land your shots and get the perk, maybe more will fire. Well, I don't think at once, because that wouldn't make sense. But if it would fire like 5 in a row, and then you would have to keep the aim on the target for all those seconds, that might not really be beneficial for us. but we'll see how it works out. And if only half or less hit the enemy, the weapon loses 1 bonus charge. They're giving weapons the perk of the, the flutes. I'm not a big fan of that. Yes, it increases the skill requirements to use a weapon more effectively then, but I'm not really a fan of that. I personally spray and pray a lot. And the last thing they show off is some new structural parts. We got some new APC fenders, new bumpers, and that's it. And now for part 3, fellas. We received a new Relic grenade launcher. By the way, this is not going to be part of the Battle Pass. Well, at least I don't think so. They did the same thing last year. This is just the time where they release a new Relic weapon every year. And this is just going to be separate from the Battle Pass, usually in the Engineers faction. And then you can craft one of these bad boys. Actually kind of insane. If they added relics to a battle pass, that would be crazy. But yeah, let's start at the top. And so the first item they show off is another grenade launcher, a legendary grenade launcher, the RPG 105 Darling. That's a cool name. Out of all the names we've had in a while, this one's kind of cool, the Darling. So this thing fires a jet grenade that flies on a straight trajectory. If the projectile has traveled some distance on the way to the target, it jettisons a stage and accelerates like a rocket. When such a projectile hits an enemy, its explosive energy travels along the movement part's trajectory and penetrates parts. It's a very powerful weapon for such a cute name. Kinda unclear on what it does. They also mentioned that this thing has 2 different projectile speeds. Okay. Gonna be a tricky one to aim. It might feel very similar to the Slaughterers, to be honest, but I don't like it so far. Okay, whoa. We're getting a legendary grenade launcher and a legendary... Oh, it's a minelayer. Ah, the Squall. And we're also getting a legendary rocket launcher and a legendary revolver. That is crazy. The devs have been cooking. We're getting 4 legendary weapons, a cabin, and a movement part this time. Oh, because we don't get modules, I think. Yeah, we're not getting modules this time, so they replace it with a weapon. All right, let's take a look at the Squall. So this thing is basically a artillery, but it's classified as a minelayer because it fires on a plunging trajectory, so it's gonna have the same aiming mechanism as the header or the swarm, but it shoots mines over there, and as long as the mines are active, an artillery strike will occur. Yeah, it says this right here. While the mine is active, the surrounding area is under constant rocket fire. That is crazy. You can't destroy the mines, of course, but that's actually kind of insane. And it looks like such a small weapon too. Very, very interesting. And they also mentioned that if an enemy destroys the mine, the reload is sped up by 50%. And it's not like an infinite barrage. It does have a time limit, so maybe 8 seconds or 6 seconds. And they also mentioned over here that the mine doesn't require a lot of energy, but you are limited on the amount you can mount on a build. Oh, you can only have 2 at a time. Oh man, damn. Steppen Wolves honor the laws of fair warfare. Who cares? You know, that is something I've always found a little bit unfortunate about Crossout. For example, I always wanted to build with 2 main weapons and then have like a secondary weapon, like a punji, but the punji is kind of weak. Machine guns are too weak, but something like the trombone. A trombone is a perfect example. That's a nice secondary weapon that can help you out. I hope this thing is the same way. Not too OP, but kind of like a, yeah, basically an annoying secondary weapon that can help you out a little bit. The next thing they show off is a new structural part. Not sure what it is. Looks like some kind of roof, armored roof or something. And then the last thing they show off is a relic grenade launcher, the Destroyer. What a perfect name. It just looks like a retcher. Like if you hide these 2 barrels, it's basically a retcher, but man, seeing more barrels on a weapon just makes me excited. I don't know what it is. I know a lot of people wanted a relic autocannon, and we might get that next year, fellas. Maybe, who knows? And so this thing has a very similar perk to the retcher, but it works slightly different. When you hit a target from a distance, the weapon accumulates charges. Each charge increases the damage of 1 grenade. So the number of charges you have is equal to the number of amplified grenades you can launch. But the perk will only activate once the weapon has completely cooled down. They're mentioning cooldown, so I'm assuming it's gonna work with Aquilo radiators and coolers and stuff like that, and no silly reload module like the Devourer does. I do wish they would change the Devourers, man. Like, the whole reload thing is no bueno. They should just rework the Devourer's perk to where it accumulates charges if you hit the enemy, but then you can choose, or it will automatically switch once the weapon has also cooled down. Something like that would be way better. Oh shit, fellas, look at this. So they say there is no limit. That's crazy. There's no limit to the charges. So it's an uncontrollable machine of death. That is crazy. Oh, but maybe if you miss one shot, the charge completely goes away. Damn. Oh yeah, they mentioned it here. Please note the relic is not part of the battle pass. Yeah, we knew that already. But man, dude, starting price 100,000 coins. So that's it for the last part of the dev block. Like I said in the beginning, next week is gonna be very exciting, especially for me. Tuesday is gonna be the stream, Wednesday pumping out videos for you guys, and Thursday is the update. Very, very exciting stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys found this video informative. Let me know what you guys think of this new battle pass in the comments down below, and just your thoughts in general about the game and everything, or about me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Peace.